Hi, I'm Maria and this is the Agile State of Mind. Welcome and remember to like and subscribe. So today we're going to continue talking about the Scrum Master stances. And this time we'll explore how to navigate conflict. Conflict will happen. The clash of strong personalities within the team and in the wider company is inevitable. As a Scrum Master, Agile coach, or even an engineering manager, you can help navigate the conflict and guide people through it so it becomes constructive. In the face of a conflict, we will bring out not only Agile good practices, but also some negotiation tactics from Chris Voss, and the empathy as taught by Marshall Rosenberg in his Nonviolent Communication. In the end, they say the best teams live in the world of constructive disagreement. Let's see how to navigate that. Let's go! So who better to consult about the conflict in Agile Teams if not Lyssa Adkins and her Coaching Agile Teams book, which I hope you've all already read by now. In the book, she distinguishes 5 levels of conflict. What is conflict? Is a mere exchange of opposing views, which is considered level 1, a conflict, or a world war where people refuse to even work with each other. A conflict. Let's deep dive into that. But before we go there, Lyssa points out that conflict is normal and to be expected. As I mentioned before, the clash of strong personalities with even more strong opinions is inevitable. In this day and age, when we work with distributed teams from all over the world, we need to take into account those different tempers and different cultures people come from. For this subject, I recommend the book by Erin Meyer, The Cultural Map. Very helpful at understanding some nuances between different cultures. Of course, it gives for whole other video, so let's leave it here and move on to the conflict. Now let's see how Lyssa describes it. An Agile team will display conflict all the time. Minor quips at one another, rolling eyeballs, heavy sighs, emotional voices, stony silences, tension in the air. You'll witness dry wit, teasing, just joking comments, or just short of snide remarks, all in the range of normal for an Agile team. These behaviors signal normalcy for any group of people who spend considerable time working together and who create a shared history. As she said, it is normal and it will happen. And what's more, we don't want the teams to avoid conflict because, as they say, the best teams live in a world of constructive disagreement. People must be able to disagree, to voice their opinions, and not be afraid of that. A discussion, an exchange of opposing views, is a great opportunity for learning and for innovation. However, this not only happens in the team. Did you ever feel awkward enough as to switch off your camera during Zoom meeting because of a conflict happening at top level in front of many people? I did. And that's life. Whenever emotions take over, it is really hard for people to keep their cool. I once asked a senior person in my company how he managed to keep his cool in the middle of a heated conversation. And I got some golden piece of advice. He told me, I guess it's a mix of temper and experience. But in the end of the day, if you believe that everyone is acting in the company's best interest, there's no reason to have a strong reaction. It resonated a lot with me because look at what he's done. First, he managed to take himself out of the equation and not make it personal. And second, he draws his attention to the good intentions of the other person, being a person behind the job title. When we think that we all gathered here with the intention to do the best for the company, many prejudices drop and the conversation could be much more productive. So, breathe deeply, see the people behind the words, and carry on. Patience is probably one of the keywords here. And if you struggle, get yourself some headspace. Okay, so having clarified how to keep your cool, let's now move on and see those 5 levels of conflict. Lyssa points us to a framework that determines the seriousness of a conflict. The 5 Levels of Conflict by Speed Leas. It forms an escalation path from level 1, a problem to be solved, to level 5, World War. Level 1, a problem to be solved. It is a typical discussion when different arguments, values, and opposite views clash. What's important is that people still stick to the facts and look for a solution to the problem. Think of the level 1 as a constructive disagreement that characterizes high-performing teams. Level 2, disagreement. At this level, self-protection becomes as important as solving the problem. People start protecting themselves by talking offline to other people. Words move from specific to general, and facts become not as important as interpretations, which leads to a confusion. 3. Contest. At level 3, the aim is to win. Alright, here we go. Remember the Who's Right game from Marshall Rosenberg? If you don't, I recommend you rewatch his training video. I add the link in my Medium article below. We all know how this goes. It's when I stop listening to what you want to say because I want to win. So while you're speaking, I'm preparing my response so I can win and I can be right. And this typically occurs when various conflicts pile up and we are not responding only to this situation but to the whole big enemy image that we have of this other person and their views. This is when emotions take over. We use emotions to win supporters and we make those generalizations where we use you always or you never. Level 4, crusade. This is when it gets really hot. People don't think anymore that others can change their views or opinions. They don't even pretend. They don't see a solution to the conflicts other than somebody gets removed from a team. Someone must leave. It's us or them. It's you or me. The attacks become ideology and a lot of principles. So we moved from talking about facts that just happened to some ideology. The overall attitude is righteous and punitive. Very sad. And 5, the World War. What can go wrong? This is a distraction. It's not enough that I win. Others must lose. Only one option at this level exists is to actually separate the team members so they don't bring distraction not only to themselves but also to the other team members that are just mere spectators of this display. And unfortunately, they say that here no constructive outcome can be had. To be able to identify which level of conflict are we dealing with, you need to spend a fair amount of time with the teams. We're talking here about days or weeks that you actually see the conflict in its natural environment and see a lot of interactions between the team members. Of course, there's no guarantee and there's no prescription of how to spot the level of conflict. It's more an observation, conversation, and intuition. When observing, pay attention to 3 things. Hear complaints, feel the energy, and focus on the language. So what should be our focus when we want to navigate a conflict? The goal is to de-escalate it. I remember recently I was conducting a postmortem for an important initiative in the company, and suddenly I saw myself in the middle of a conflict between 2 people, and one person said, "That's bullshit," as a response to what the other had just said. And I thought, oh, what did I get myself into? I scheduled this meeting. I tried to get my act together, keep my calm, breathe. And my only idea at the time was to make sure that the people speak and get heard. After the "that's bullshit" person finished what they were saying, I asked the other person what they thought about it to express their opinion. It occurred that that was basically it. Once the other person said what they thought about it, the first person actually agreed. I was thinking, am I lucky and the people in my company are mature? Or did they just need a forum where they can express their opinion and feel that they are being heard? And last but not least, before we go, I would like to mention about mirroring and labeling, 2 techniques I learned from Chris Voss and his Never Split the Difference book on negotiation. In the end, it's all about communication. Think about Chris Voss on negotiation, Jordan Peterson on listening actively, and Marshall Rosenberg on nonviolent communication. They all agree and they show us how important it is to listen to what others say and actually understand it. And also, it's important to express our emotions and intentions adequately in a way that others can feel empathy towards us. So the two simple techniques are mirroring and labeling. Mirroring basically means that from what some other person just said, you repeat the key words or the last 2-3 words and you inquire about them. They say, I have an issue with what happened in that meeting. And you say, an issue. And you let them elaborate a bit more about what they just said. So this way you understand better what's their issue. And labeling means that we paraphrase what they said. And then, even if we paraphrase and they realize that we didn't understand what they just said, it's still good because they will be happy to correct us. And this way, we get more information and we absorb it and we think, do I actually understand what they are transmitting to me? I really think those two simple practices can help us change the habits of communication. Instead of being one-directional, I'm talking, you understand me, start also receiving the information, listening actively to the other person and understand them. That can be a big game changer in the way we communicate. And that's all for today. For the last thing, I would say don't ever underestimate the power of empathy, kindness, and transmitting optimism to people. Put a big smile on your face and carry on. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.